Hello artist, welcome to Mr. Melvin Makes. Today I would like to show you how you can make an astronaut walking along the moon. I'm going to be using a variety of art supplies to create different textures and spaces in this work of art. For this activity you will need paper, crayons, watercolor paint, and then lastly a white acrylic or tempera paint. Now that I've got all my supplies out, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to first start with a light gray, a dark gray, and a black to develop the surface of the moon. And starting with light gray, at the bottom of my paper, I'm just going to draw a curved line like this, kind of like a rainbow or a bell, to show the surface of the moon. The reason I'm making this picture today is to celebrate NASA's 50th anniversary of the moon landing. While I'm making my paper, or my picture, I want you to think about what planet you might be making. Maybe you're celebrating the moon landing as well, so you're following along with me. Or maybe you get out a different set of colors and you make your own planet, either real or imaginary. Remember that you're the artist and you've got creative control over your picture. But I want you to understand why I'm making the moon today. Okay, I think next I'm going to take my darker gray, and I'm going to draw an oval just like that, to make some craters on the surface of my moon, add some texture. And since I don't want my crater here to be lonely, I'll just add a small one back here, looks like it's far away, and then just one more. That way my crater here's got some friends. On either side of those ovals, I'm going to just draw diagonal lines coming down like that. That'll kind of make these craters look like they're popping off the surface. And there you go, there's my craters. When I'm coloring the moon, I'm pressing pretty hard with my crayon because I want to create a similar texture to the rocky and rough surface of the moon. I'm going to go ahead and keep filling in this surface of the moon with these three colors here, and I might add some other details here with these other colors. But let me go ahead and finish this shape first. So you can see that I also got out red, white, and blue to make an American flag resting on the surface of the moon here. It really makes me wonder what you might add to your picture on your planet. Next, I'm going to use my white just a little bit more to add some stars into this space. And what I'm basically doing is I'm leaving a pattern of white stars on white paper so that when I watercolor on top, the white will resist the color pigment of the watercolor and just kind of remain white like stars shining across this part of the space. So to make that happen, I've got to press really pretty hard with my crayon when I make these tiny dots. I bet from where you're looking, you can't even really see what I'm doing. If I'm being honest, I can't either. It's a fun technique. It kind of creates a secret image afterwards. So I'm just randomly popping little white dots all over this open space so that when I watercolor, it creates a really cool effect. And I'm just hoping that my hard work here is going to pay off when I am ready for watercolor. I'm sure it will, and if you do this as well, I think you'll amaze yourself too. So maybe just a couple more. It's hard to tell. One way to see is to get your paper just in a different light. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I can settle with that. So I've got my watercolor ready, and I think I'm ready to paint. I'm really happy with what I've made, and after painting with my watercolors, I gave this about an hour or two to dry. You can see here how the smooth watercolors makes a really good texture for vast open space against the kind of rough crayon texture here. For my space, I added a little bit of color and streaks just to make it look kind of like a galaxy. And next I'm going to add my third and final art material, just a little bit of white acrylic paint to make my astronaut. I'm going to use the same brush I used for my watercolor, just a nice round brush. And this will be a great lesson in kind of figure drawing as we make our astronaut. Let's get started. I'm going to take just a little bit of white paint, and I'm going to use mostly circles and ovals to make this entire figure. So I'm going to start at the head and work my way down, painting just a white circle for the head. I'll make a square or rectangle for the body, just like that. Perfect. After I've got the body drawn, I'll go ahead and give just another kind of square underneath. That's going to be the hips of the astronaut. So circle for the head, square, kind of rounded for the body or torso, and then a smaller rectangle, kind of square for the hips. For the arms, I'm going to make a small circle for the shoulder, kind of an oval for the upper arm, another oval about the same size, a little bit thinner, for the forearm, and then you could make either a circle or a triangle for the astronaut's hand. For the legs, I'll kind of do the same thing as I did with the arm. A long oval for the thigh or upper leg. Another oval for the calf or lower leg. And then just kind of a third oval for the foot. I'll repeat all of these steps on the same side. You can see here my paint is a little bit thin, so I might let it dry and add a second coat just on top. I might also go back into my planet with my crayons and kind of increase the contrast here between the white paint and the surface of the moon. So I'll go ahead and take care of those steps now. Alright, so I've let my white paint dry completely, as you can see here, and now it's time as an artist to reflect on what I've made so far. Reflection is whenever you kind of look at your art and think a little bit critically about it, think about what it might need more to make it just one step better. So one thing I'm not really happy about is the color of the black that I used from this watercolor paint set. Although it looks super black and pigmented here, on the paper it ended up more of like a sepia color, which just really isn't giving me enough contrast for my astronaut. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is use just a little bit more of my media here, probably mostly crayons. I might even add in some Sharpie, just to kind of punch out some extra details. Remember that people will recognize your hard work, so put in the effort. I'm going to just show what that might look like right here, right now. Well, so you can see here that I've got my picture all finished. Missed a little bit of my video when I was dealing with Stella. She really was hungry for attention today, but that's all right. I think my painting now looks astronomical. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I knew that just a little bit more media on top of what I had before would really take this to another level. So I'm happy with how my artwork looks. My challenge for you today is to design an astronaut celebrating NASA's 50th anniversary of the moon landing. An astronaut either walking on our moon or some other place, real or imaginary. That's my challenge for you today. And my challenge for you also is to try and do it with a cat. Goodness, that makes things way more difficult than it needs to. If you like this video, please subscribe and check out my other art activities. If you think you know someone who might like Mr. Melvin Makes, please share this channel with them too. I want to thank you, and happy making, artists. Enjoy.